have to make too many compromises for this car to justify its looks or its features or its efficiency. There are more people who are going to be interested in sacrificing a little bit of efficiency in order to get a car that's easier to get in and out of, it's easier to drive on a day-to-day basis because of the visibility, and can hold more people and more things. So Prius is cool, but it's a little bit more of a style and a fashion piece and a technology piece now than a practical means of transportation. So just remember that before you get swept up in all the hype that this car has garnered. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and it's been a long time coming now that I got to spend a week with the 2023 Toyota Prius. This is the Prime version. I'm actually getting the normal non-plug-in hybrid Prius here in a few weeks, and I've driven this plug-in hybrid Prime before, but I haven't driven the normal Prius. And I am looking forward to spending time with the normal Prius here soon because I've driven this Prime before for just a quick kind of first drive event. I didn't have it for a full week, but I have not driven the normal Prius at all. And I've heard good things. Really, they shouldn't be too different. However, with all the praise that the Prius has been getting, I don't know if this is the ticket. I worry that the Prius, and maybe just the Prius Prime, we're going to focus on the Prius Prime because that's what I've had in front of me. That's the window sticker that I've been looking at, the cost and the driving experience and ownership experience that I've been dealing with. This car's gotten a lot of attention, a lot of hype, and for good reason. It looks cool. It has a lot of great features. It's nice to be inside, but it's not a perfect car. It really isn't. And I worry that some people are going to be shelling out big dealership premiums in order to get themselves into this vehicle. And if it's just the right car for you, okay, you do what you need to. But I do worry that we're getting a little bit of this groupthink with the automotive media where Toyota's done a great job with the hype train on this car, and it does look really, really cool. And a lot of people like to just echo what they've heard from other people. So there's this big circular effect right now that the new Prius is the hot ticket. And it's good. It is a good car. But you shouldn't be turned off from other options that do things better than this new Prius. So let's dig into it. First things first, yes, this does look pretty darn great, doesn't it? I mean, it's just a cool design, and we actually now know that the new 2025 Toyota Camry is going to look fairly similar to this up front as well. Coming down the back, kind of this retro-y styling, not really like anything else on the road. I think they did a really good job with styling in general. However, in striving for efficiency and cool styling, they did sacrifice rear seat room, and we'll get to that in a minute. And also with the Prius, you're sacrificing a decent amount of cargo room. Also, why is this powered? This is probably just something you get on this XSE Premium model. But I don't need my liftback to be powered. Save me the weight, save me the cost. Give me just a manual quick opening liftback. Fairly high load surface as well, coming up about mid-thigh for me. So if you're lifting bags up into there, it's going to be kind of a big lift, and then you've got a big lip right here as well. So if you're sliding something in and out, you're going to have to lift it up over that to get it out. There's our charger, and I don't think we have a spare tire in here either, so something to consider. However, if you do take this aspect out, this little cargo cover, it sort of folds away and you get remarkably flat load surfaces in there. So you can utilize your Prius's rear area. That's always been one of the nice things about the Prius is the cargo usability because of the lift back. I mean, it gives you a big opening here to put things in. I mean, you could get bicycles in there probably. It's nice how they lay that out. In fact, I know you could get bicycles in the second gen Prius, because I had a second-gen Prius. I was a Prius owner at one point. I quite liked the car. I've always liked the Prius. I just thought the third, or rather the fourth gen, was pretty ugly. No capless fuel filler. I find that kind of annoying. You have to pop this open here. Gotta reach in. 2023, it would be nice to have a capless fuel filler. It's something that I like on gasoline vehicles that this unfortunately does not have. Coming into the back seat, I'm just realizing that I've left my cleats in here. Glad I shot this review today. You can see I do use the vehicles while we have them. Ugh. Cleats aside, this is one of the most frustrating things about the new Prius to me, is the rear seat room. At 5'10", you can see my head is hitting the roof. And I don't understand that. The Prius should be, yes, it should be efficient, and I understand they wanted to make it cool, but you couldn't have given us just a few extra inches back here. Would that really have killed the efficiency and the styling that much to maybe drop the seat down or lift the roof up just a little bit further so that an adult could sit comfortably back here, an average to large size adult? That's going to kill the Prius for a lot of people who regularly need to travel with even teenagers in the back of the car, because they're not going to want to sit back here. Materials are all nice. We even have heated seats back here, so even though people can't fit, they could get their butts heated, and some USB ports back there as well, although no air vents. So again, I don't know who's going to want to spend a lot of time back here if you're uncomfortable and can't get cooled down, so you're even more uncomfortable, but at least you can charge your devices, I guess. Also, the doors do not open very wide, so if you're trying to load things like car seats in here, you're going to have a bit of a tough time. In fact, getting in and out of the Prius is fairly difficult once you get used to crossovers. This is a very, very low car. Look at how little ground clearance we have there, how close the entry is to the ground. You really got to flop your butt down here, squat it into the seat, and get out. And in today's day and age of crossovers, I know a lot of people like to get into crossovers because they prefer the seating position and the ingress and egress. Prius is making a big sacrifice for that. If you haven't seen it before, the new Prius comes with a pretty cool steering wheel setup where the head-up display / gauge cluster there is above the steering wheel. And I like that because it allows you to get the steering wheel really low and comfortable regardless of your seating position or height. And it makes for a nice, comfortable, and commanding driving experience. In fact, the entire front area of the Prius is laid out really well. I love that they still gave us physical climate controls. We've still got a physical volume knob. We've got Toyota's excellent new infotainment system. This is the larger 12.3-inch screen. You get an 8-inch and the smaller screen. And check the link below for our infotainment breakdown if you'd like to see how that works. We also have a remarkably good JBL sound system in here. We reviewed it on the Prius and the Prius Prime before, and it is really good. I'm actually really impressed with a lot of what JBL has been doing lately with their sound systems. We also have one of my favorite features in any new car, this wireless device charger slot. So let's see, I have one of my phones in my hand, but I'll just show you this phone right now. Regardless of if it's a tiny phone or a large phone, it slots right in there, and little feet actually hold the device right to the side so that it stays against the wireless charger. That's such a cool setup to me because a lot of cars you have a wireless charger maybe down here, your phone slides around, or maybe it doesn't accommodate devices of different sizes. But this is one of the smartest setups I've seen, and it's very easy to grab it as you're getting out of the car. You maybe put the car into park right here with the button, grab your phone, and you're out and you're on your way. I really appreciate that thoughtfulness there from Toyota. Another nice surprising touch, auto up and down windows for all 4 windows around the car. It's a nice little premium touch there from Toyota. I always get so much flack from commenters when I review plug-in hybrid vehicles because a lot of people in the comments, or maybe in the journalism world, or maybe on Reddit, they like to think that the plug-in hybrid is this magic do-it-all solution and that everybody should have plug-in hybrids and that they're the best thing since sliced bread. But the market doesn't reflect that. Plug-in hybrids have been around for the last 10 years in varying capacities, and why isn't everybody driving them? Why are people buying full battery electric vehicles? Why are people still buying conventional hybrids or gasoline vehicles? If plug-in hybrids have been around for so long, why haven't people flocked to them? And it's because, yes, they provide you both worlds, but they don't do either of those worlds remarkably well, and they usually come at a cost penalty that is going to, in most people's situations, offset any sort of advantage that you're going to get by being able to propel your vehicle on both grid-powered electricity and gasoline. This Prius Prime XSE Premium, for example, achieved 42 mpg on our highway fuel economy testing last night. So not any better than we've seen out of just standard conventional gasoline cars or gasoline hybrid electric cars. And it only achieved, we don't have an exact number, but according to the vehicle's readout, 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour when we were cruising around on the highway using electricity. Now I understand that's both highway situations, but a lot of people put a lot of miles on their car on the highway, even if they're commuting. For example, my wife Alyssa has a 12-mile commute, and probably 8 or 9 of those miles are on the highway. So even though she's not doing a lot of driving, a lot of her driving is on the highway. You understand? I mean, sure, for certain people, if you're primarily just driving around the city, then then obviously a hybrid is going to do well for you. But in that case, maybe you'd be best provided with just a full battery electric vehicle, because if you're only putting on maybe less than 50 or 100 miles in a day pumping around the city, then just get full hybrid or full electric. But a lot of people then like to chime in and say, oh, well, I want to be able to drive on full, just electricity from my house where it's really cheap, or maybe you have solar panels or something. And then in those few situations when I need to do a lot of driving in the day, or want to go on a road trip or camping or something like that, I want to be able to have gasoline. And I totally agree with you. I'm a big fan of plug-in hybrids myself personally. But they make more sense when the vehicle in question has more compromises and is a larger, less efficient sort of vehicle to begin with. For example, Ram is coming out with a new plug-in hybrid version of their 1500 series truck. And I think that's one of the smartest plug-in hybrid applications we've seen to date, because trucks are very heavy vehicles, not very fuel efficient. And part of that is because whenever you're coming to a stop, you're having to take a lot of kinetic energy and essentially turn it into heat by using friction brake pads to slow the vehicle down. By making that vehicle electrified, you're then able to regenerate a lot of your kinetic energy back into your battery when you're slowing down, and then also use electricity, which is a very torque efficient power. You'll be able to get that electricity from your house, plugging in the vehicle, and you're able to drive around on electricity for doing kind of local driving sort of situations rather than burning up fuel. And then not only that, but people often use trucks for heavy towing or long road trips with your family, a lot of things loaded in the bed, something like that. So that's a situation in which you're going to want to be able to switch over to gasoline and drive in the normal way like that. Other examples are something like the Pacifica plug-in hybrid, where, again, larger, heavier vehicle that's doing a lot of kind of around town kind of commuting with a lot of people in it. So you're able to take advantage of those electric benefits with the plug-in hybrid aspect and then switch over to gasoline for more of a road trip. Or even my third example, something a little bit more relatable, like the Toyota RAV4 Prime. That's the type of vehicle that a lot of people are interested in driving because the RAV4 is such a compelling place to be. It's easy to get in and out of. It's got all-wheel drive, which I know you can get all-wheel drive on this one, but it's proper all-wheel drive with some ground clearance and the ability to put larger tires on there, and the clearance to go and do dirt roads and off-road and a little bit of protection and everything. So it's more of a do-it-all sort of vehicle that can comfortably fit 4, maybe even 5 adults and some cargo in the back, or maybe children, car seats, that sort of deal. It's more of a full lifestyle sort of vehicle, so it makes sense to be trying to optimize the vehicle so that you can do as many things as possible with one vehicle. But then we get back to the Prius. The Prius, especially in this new 5th gen car that's got less rear seat room, it's not as comfortable for adults. This car is focused on doing one thing, and that is getting good efficiency. It doesn't make sense for somebody to buy this car if you're an adventure seeker, or if you're somebody who has a family, or if you're somebody who's regularly putting multiple people in it or filling up the trunk area. It honestly doesn't even really make sense these days to get this over maybe something like a RAV4 hybrid if you're just older and you just don't like having to sit way down and get into this low slung vehicle. Or a lot of people, I know my father included, who was a RAV4 owner. He likes to be able to sit a little higher to see around intersections and curbs and hedges. He just likes being able to have a higher vantage point while he's driving. And for him, he would rather give up the maybe 10-15% fuel efficiency that the Prius is going to provide in order to have all of those other benefits. So all of that is to say, the use case of somebody who both wants to take advantage of the local driving and battery power driving advantages of a plug-in hybrid of an electric vehicle, but then also wants to be able to have the high mileage efficiency of a standard Prius, I don't see many of those type of people existing. And by all means, I always read the comments. I'm curious what you all have to say. Why maybe you're considering a Prius Prime over the normal Prius. But to me, plug-in hybrid doesn't make sense for this vehicle over just getting the normal Prius. Alright, so that's a long rant. I appreciate if you sat through it. What's this Prius like to live with? It's nice. It really is. This is a pretty expensive model. I do think there are other vehicles that cost a good bit less than this that are just as nice, if not nicer, to be in. Again, some of them even in Toyota's fleet. It's a little loud on the highway. I was surprised by that. Again, would have liked to see a little bit better efficiency as well. Even not highway driving, even in just kind of my mixed driving, I've been getting high 40s in fuel economy with this car. Again, we're lugging around that extra battery capacity, being the plug-in hybrid version. So it's a good number, but it's not earth-shattering by any means. I like the seats. I like the materials. It's a nice place to be in here. It's comfortable. I will also point out that you're sacrificing a lot of visibility in this car with how low slung it is. You might find that these large A-pillars that are swooped way back and the lower roof and the huge C-pillars, they do result in a bit of a claustrophobic visual experience in the car. But the technology is good, the ergonomics are good, the sound system is good. I haven't found myself lacking any sort of features in here. I like having the camera rear view mirror, the heated and cooled seats, the heated steering wheel, the 360 camera. Toyota did a really good job at tossing the kitchen sink at this Prius. And, you know, yeah, it's kind of pricey at $42,000, but you do have a lot in the car, and the car's got a lot to offer. So I think they weighed that well. One of my favorite things about the car is a little bit silly, but it's the fact that we have this solar roof on the car. And over this car is what? It's got almost just under 6,000 miles on it. Yeah, just under 6,000 miles. And it has gained 44.4 kilowatt hours of solar power. That Toyota claims will get you almost 200 miles of range that we've essentially gotten for free and for no carbon penalty. We've gotten it free from the sun outside of whatever carbon penalty it took to create the solar roof in the first place. Yeah, it's not a ton. It might get you maybe a mile of range when you're just kind of in a normal situation like this in SoCal from day to day. But I just think it's cool. I like driving around and seeing that right now there's 90 watts of electricity being generated on the roof of my car. It's just kind of a little gimmicky, but pretty fun. Another thing is when you're driving on electricity, the Prius Prime is very docile. However, when you do have to drive on hybrid mode and the engine has to kick on, it isn't the most refined powertrain. For people who have owned Priuses before, they've always kind of been this utilitarian experience where when you need to really apply acceleration, you hear that motor clattering along, but it's always kind of been okay because you're like, yeah, I'm in a Prius, it's sort of a cheaper vehicle, and I care more about the efficiency and saving from the MSRP, and so I understand I'm going to get kind of a cheaper motor experience. But in this car, where a lot of the materials are nice, the driving experience is nice, but then you hear this, just for me getting up to speed on this road, you're a little like, oh, okay, that's not exactly what I expected to hear from a car that I paid $42,000 for. So I like the new Prius, I do. I'm really looking forward to getting the standard Prius in for a little while. In fact, I'm gonna have to see if it's the same trim as this or if it's a little bit more of an understated trim. And I hope it's more understated because I'd be curious to see what more of an approachable Prius price point is like. I don't think the Prius is going to last. I don't think we're gonna see a 6th generation of Prius unless it goes fully electric, because you have to make too many compromises for this car to justify its looks or its features or its efficiency. There are more people who are going to be interested in sacrificing a little bit of efficiency in order to get a car that's easier to get in and out of, it's easier to drive on a day-to-day basis because of the visibility, and can hold more people and more things. So Prius is cool, but it's a little bit more of a style and a fashion piece and a technology piece now than a practical means of transportation. So just remember that before you get swept up in all the hype that this car has garnered. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Prius in general, check the link below. We've got quite a lot of coverage on it, and we're going to have even more once I get the normal non-plug-in hybrid version. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, solar roof on.